What is up, everybody? We're gonna get started here momentarily. I'm just gonna let you guys filter in, say hello in the chat. I'll say hello back, and we'll get started. It's my daughter's birthday today. Actually, it's tomorrow, but we're celebrating it today. She's gonna be 9. We're going on vacation. Also, this is a big deal right here. DesignCourse.com, the pre-launch. It's about halfway finished, but you can join early during the pre-launch week, which begins September 14th, which is exactly how many days from now? 10 days. So in 10 days, after a couple days after I get back, we are pre-launching DesignCourse.com, where if you join and you try really hard and you join the mentorship program, you're gonna just be an awesome designer. Yeah, it's gonna be freaking awesome. Also, you'll get a discount for joining during the pre-launch week, 1 week window, and then when it's finished, it's opened up forever. So hopefully a few months after the pre-launch, it'll be completely ready. All right, look, Lakshya, okay, say my name. Do that again and you're gonna be put in timeout. No more spamming. Oh, he spammed. Timeout. Yep, definitely. Unreal, don't spam the chat. All right, so for all of you who may be new, basically this is a live UI UX review show where you submit your design. The instructions are in the YouTube description here, and I will review it. So you join up Discord, blah, blah, blah. You have to do the role, assign all this crap to open up the access for this channel, and then you submit it. All right, so let's go ahead and just get ready to rock. We'll do this for maybe 45 minutes today. Like I said, it's a birthday for my child, and I have to, I'm busy. I am freaking busy. All right, so let's get started. Very first one. Oh, and by the way, today is a little special one because I'm actually gonna hop in to Figma to redesign some aspects. So I'm not gonna be able to get through a bunch of these reviews. I'm sorry, it is what it is, all right? I like to keep things a little bit different though. Oh, and by the way, when I'm going to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for a week, leaving tomorrow. I still have all my videos ready to rock. In fact, I'm uploading 4 or 5 videos, 2 or 3 YouTube shorts, and then also my regular 2 videos. So I'm not going anywhere, even though I am. All right, let's check these out. I haven't checked any of these out yet. Move them off screen, make sure I'm not getting trolled with adult content or anything. Yeah. Here we go. All right. Okay, let's see here. Not much of an actual design. I'm not gonna bother, honestly, trying to refactor anything here, just because there's not enough. All it is a person's picture, their name, and then a bunch of buttons. So for what it is, I guess there's no major concerns in terms of UI design that I'm worried about, because the contrast is there, white space is there. There's just not really what I would call a big layout. It's just kind of like, hello, this is my name, here are my links. So for what it is, it's not horrible. You look like a young person. But what I would try to do, if this is supposed to be like a portfolio, really build out the layout and get some inspiration by going to sites like Dribbble and all that, and turning it into a real portfolio if that's what the intention is, rather than just it being like a link farm. All right, next up, let's go down here. Her name is Claire. Claire's funny. Claire's a very funny child because she talks crap to me. It's hilarious. Like, I just told her the other day, it was in the context of a conversation. I'm like, yeah, I look like I'm 24. By the way, I'm like 38. And she's like, no, you look like you're 65. So, yeah, she gets me. All right, next one. All right, this is an ultra simplistic layout as it seems. Monochromatic for the most part. The only thing I would probably adjust here, I mean, if you really want to stick with ultra simplistic, just with type only, I kind of more of a fan of moving the logo right here in line with this, and also extending some more white space. So more to push this down further, make it start here, push this over here to this left alignment,
And honestly, you could probably better utilize columns here. So you could have a 2-column approach here to list out this stuff. Like this could be 1 column, and this could be another column side by side, at least on a large resolution like this, because we have all of this space to work with. Outside of that, no other huge issues. I like the very subtle borders that you have going here. In fact, next week, one of the videos is all about borders and how you can use low and high contrast borders. But yeah, nothing here that really sparks my interest to want to redesign it. So not bad overall. I know this is what, Montserrat or Poppins? It's Montserrat, yes it is. All right. Next up. Thank you for, Mr. Toxic is helping me out. That's not very toxic. It's very helpful behavior. You know what? One thing that annoys the crap out of me these days. Everybody labeling toxic. It's toxic behavior. That's so toxic. It's not. Like most time, it's just like somebody disagreeing with you, and they're gonna call that toxic. Unreal. Anyways, next up, Figma. As you can tell, I'm not really a huge fan of woke culture. All right. This one. All right. So here we have a Figma prototype, and I think we can definitely do something with this. I see we have, you know what's really funny? The previous submission, or the previous 2 submissions, with the borders and how I alluded to, I'm doing a video on borders. Well, guess what? I'm also doing a video on blurring as a means to increasing contrast. That's going to be the second video for next week. There's just something, there's things happening about this design that I think could be improved, and I think it has a lot to do with scale. Everything's kind of large. We have this type here that's pretty large. The cup is large. These are pretty large as well. And I think it could be improved pretty decently by making some small adjustments. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I want to tackle this one for a redesign yet, though. I just think there's too much happening. There's a clutter as well. I mean, because look, we have this type here. It's sitting on its center line, and not only do we have an image behind it, but we also have this real strong blur that's occurring. And this is black text and this is white text, and then we have a call to action that's not centered yet it's left aligned. Things are just kind of all over the place. So I think it could be just a matter of, you know, making some small adjustments that take a matter of like 2 minutes that could really improve this quite a bit. I just think there's too much happening here, and it could be simplified. Next up down here, not a fan of pushing this title over here because it's not even right aligned. It's kind of like off center, and that throws things off. I would rather take this, push this right here in line, and if you want to do some sort of border on top of it or whatever, you could definitely do that. Mohammed's getting his cursor in here. I like this portion, it's not bad. Now down here, I'd say this email field is a little bit too small. You need more white space around the enter your email area because it's just too squashed down. So I think that could definitely be improved. Why are you doing that? That is very annoying. Okay, next up. And who the heck is messaging me? It makes my thing flash. I don't like that. All right, next up. We got some major issues here. Major issues. Let's refresh that, see if there's anything happening. All right. Okay. Let's do a quick redesign of this one because I think there's a lot happening here that we could definitely improve. How many people are here? 130. That's not too bad on a Saturday evening. All right. Let's improve this. I think we can make some significant improvements. And I'll do my best to make this as fast as possible. I'm gonna hop into Figma and I'm gonna start a new file.
Let me get the chat back up here though. I don't want to maximize this and hide you all and then you start crying. All right. Oops. Yeah, I don't want to get that out. All right. Here's the original design. And let's get a frame out here of desktop. Let's get the same general feeling going. I mean, we can use a gradient background subtle like that. So we'll take this, we'll choose linear, and the first one we will get this color, and then the second one we'll bump that opacity up and we'll get the darker side. Okay, and then I'll come back over here and we'll get the correct angle going from light to dark. You can definitely do this. All right. All right, so we have a sidebar here, but look at these icons, DMR. I don't even know what that is. Like, what happens when we click on that? It's not even clickable. So it just says DMR. I don't know what that means. And then we have icons without actual labels. Like that's a tough sell. It doesn't even make sense, honestly, to have a sidebar like this. So maybe we'll think about that as well. So let's and notice up here where it says hello, like this is the main content section, but this is where like your name or your logo should go. So let's just say we're gonna refer to you as Tushar, Tushar. Let's increase that. Let's, I'm not sure what we're using. I feel like using Nunito for some reason. So let's bump that up, Tushar. Let's make it bold and we'll keep it black. All right, now next up, you know, it has a home button and then has an icon for I don't know what is, and then we have another icon for I have no clue what that is either. So that's a big UX no-no. You're making people guess before they click on it. You don't want that. So I'm just gonna put in some freaking fake links, and we'll push this over here. So we're gonna assume we're gonna have a home, and let's make these not bold, and let's scale them down just a bit, maybe to like 22. And so we'll have a home. We're gonna make sure these align correctly. Duplicate. We'll do my work, and then we'll do a contact. See, we're keeping things simple, and we're using patterns that people know and expect. We're making it as simple as possible. So now we say hi or hello. I am Tushar. I'm not gonna say that. And I'm not gonna say I'm a web developer. We're gonna give ourselves a headline that really freaking works much better than that. So we're gonna say, I make your designs rock. Now you could probably think of something a lot better and cool than that, but that's just what I'm thinking off the top of my head in like literally a span of 5 seconds and a bunch of people watching me. So don't judge me. I make your designs rock. You know, you just want something that's unique and interesting with flair. And then in your subhead, you could put something like web developer / UI expert. I don't know. That may or may not be true in his case or their case, whoever they are. But you know, we can just put a subheadline there. We could put it up here if we want. You know, we could also, instead of extend it all the way out, we could go like this and make it really beefy and large. Like we can do this. I make your designs rock. And then let's fix that leading, which is the line height. All right. So now we're really filling this up. See, notice he has all this. There's not much content here. It's just a few headings, and then there's a description, and then like this 3D thing. But look how small things are. He's not utilizing all the space that he possibly could. So by making a nice, strong, big headline when you don't have much content, it's a great way to fill out the UI of some sort. So just think about that. And we could do small things to make this type interesting and also further increase what's called the visual hierarchy. So we can take, maybe we'll wrap this in like a little background container. So we'll take this, we'll make it white, and kind of like a highlighter effect of some sort. Maybe even make this smaller. All right, so we really increase the visual hierarchy between these couple elements. And we wanna make sure we have good equal white space
all around. All right, so that's one potential way to take it. And then we have a description. So if I come back here, where the hell did it go? No, that's not it. It's right here. Now, I think this is a pretty long description, especially for a hero section, but we'll see. Let's paste it in and see what happens here. So we'll increase this, let's get regular to really reinforce that typographic visual hierarchy. One of the things I talk about often. So if you want to do something like this, you can probably pull it all the way out and then figure out a illustration of some sort. Maybe that's where this little thing can come into play. I think you could probably use something that makes a little bit more sense and is better, more visually appealing than just like a cube. But still, it probably something like that, could go right here in this section. And so notice just how more filled out this is compared to this. All right, so that's my real quick refactor of this particular design. Of course, I could go much more, but we have some other submissions to get through. All right. Let me look at the chat. Okay, cool. Everything is going smooth. My mic didn't turn off. That's awesome. All right. Next up, reliable tutorials. Is that actually you? Like, are you a tutorial creator? All right. Mathematic tuitions for HSSE and GSET in Vasco. I have no clue what any of that is. I like the background. It's a very subtle watermark, very low contrast, which means everything sitting on top of it can really pop out. I hate saying pop because that's like the worst thing a client could say. Can you make my design pop? Well, this is high contrast, so things really do stand out. So it works well. I would say for this larger resolution, kind of want to fill things out a little bit more. You can make things a little bit bigger, but not much. It still works pretty well. Looking at the rest of this, so yeah, one of the things I talk about like at least 20 times per these streams is when it comes to forms. If you're going to use these the placeholder values, don't use an actual placeholder value. It'll look like a placeholder value. Use a floating label at minimum. That way, when you click in it, people aren't like, "Oh crap, I forgot what I'm like. What is this field for?" So you always want to have the label present visually. All right. Outside of that, everything here is pretty standard. You might want to increase the leading here. This line height is a little bit scrunched. It's going to be easier for people to read if you increase that just a bit. This is the best part of the design up here, in my opinion. All right, pretty solid. Next up, wait. Why did somebody, glad I didn't skip over that, thinking it was red already. Alrighty, next up. This is a pretty, what I would call standardized design. It's a real common aesthetic, but I'm looking at anything that's objectively wrong in terms of the UI design fundamentals. So looking at that, it seems like we have some pretty good visual hierarchies established based on the type that's occurring here. So this is pretty decent. The call to action stands out quite well. Let me change this to English. I would probably want to use a little bit more of a higher quality photo here. It looks like it's a little bit pixelized, but it's still fine. Now these have down arrows, but they're not working over here. But this one's working, and this seems pretty good. Don't really have too much of a problem with what's occurring here. Notice the borders are very subtle, which works fine. You could probably even go a little darker with those borders. All the sections have good equal white space between them. So that's really important because consistency in terms of white space and alignment and a lot of other things when it comes to UI design fundamentals is very important. Overall consistency really helps structure a UI, and this is all very consistent.
No problems with this. Although, what is this? This is kind of strange. It should be like in columns rather than just a single row, or a single column rather. All right, pretty good. Not bad. Next up, we can definitely improve this, and I'm going to focus on this part right here. Yeah, we can definitely improve this. In fact, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, we're going to F12 this. We're going to get this whole container. Hopefully it's in an easy container. Oh, dang it. Let me think. How can I? All right, well, we're just going to delete that part for now. I'm going to do that, and then we're going to come to Figma, wherever the hell Figma is at. Did I really close it? Unreal. Hold on. New file. All right. So let's look back here. I'm going to refresh this real quick. That's my daughter's like screaming down there. I told them, don't be loud. I know you have a friend over for your birthday and stuff, but I'm like, I have to live stream. All right, so let's look at what was occurring before. So if I take this here one last time, copy that, put this over here, that way we have a reference point. Let's fix up this area right here. All right, a single platform for all your work. I like the type, I like the copy itself, so let's stick with that. A single platform for all your work. Okay, something like that. You can't see it yet because it's very small. Now, what am I going to use? You know what I'm going to use. I'm going to use Poppins this time. They look like they were using something like Arial. You know, a font like Montserrat Poppins. Yeah, just what did John Frock say? No, it was the Green Computer Man. You can't go wrong with Poppins. All right. So it's, well, we can make this a little bit larger. Yeah, let's just do let's do that. We'll do 3 lines. A single platform for all your work. That'll work. And then we have this headline right there. Or I mean, not headline, but description. Now let's bring that down quite a bit. Maybe we can go 30. And then we will also go to regular. And then we will also just hit 0 here. Wait, or not, or auto rather. All right. We could probably boost that up even more than 30. And then also adjust the leading. All right. And then pre-register today. This is the biggest part that I think that's the issue. Like we have to, I could tell based on the type here, there's some tracking or letter spacing that's just extended too much. And extended letter spacing, if not used properly in the right context, doesn't look good at all. It really just makes things look cheap. And so pre-register today, I could tell it, and it's free with 2 exclamation points. It's killing it. Not enough white space too. So, you know, we have a headline, subheadline. That's its own little semantic little world. And then we have a form underneath it, the call to action. So we need to really physically separate these out with more white space between them. So pre-register today, it's free. Let's work on that. Hold on, I have to tell my kids to be quiet for a second. Claire! Claire! Yeah, stop screaming. Alrighty, I am back. Okay, all right. Next up, the dot react you're doing might be confusing, Gary. What's that mean? What do you mean my dot react? All right, pre-register today, it's free. Okay, so there's gonna be a form. All right. Let me delete that. Let's use this. Let's do this. All right, pre-register today. Dennis, what's up? I know. Dennis, you need to have yourself some kids already. You guys are having way too much fun just being by yourselves, him and his wife, down in Florida. I mean, come on. Join the rest of us and just get some freaking kids, you know? I only say that because I'm jealous of him sometimes, you know? Although my kids are getting older, things are getting easier. When they're really young, it's really freaking difficult. You can't go out and just like drink all day, like freaking just hanging out in the ocean like freaking Dennis is all the time. So, all right, pre-register today. Let's get the form filled in here. All right, so we need a form, a text field background. All right, so we could probably go something like this. Give ourselves a little bit of rounded corners. Enter your email address. All right. Let's bring to the front. Let's also not bold it, regular. Enter your email. Let's not make it 100% contrast if it's going to be like a floating label / placeholder. So we're going to use that little trick where we grab the color it's sitting on and push it up. So we're working in the same hue, but we're just adding tint or lightness to it. Enter your email. We can duplicate this for a button because you want your button to be the same kind of aesthetic here. Pre-register, we'll just use that. You don't want to use submit or anything like that these days. We'll crank this up to bold. Don't worry everybody, we will be done with this refactor real quickly. Trying to see if there's any secondary colors. Could be that right there. So what we could do is take this background, we'll get this color, and then we're probably gonna have to go black with that in order to get better contrast. I know this is looking a little bit silly. There we go. So we could probably put this up here. I think this needs to be a little bit bigger. And as such, put that right there. This could be bumped up as well, I think. All right. You could also, to kind of frame this form a little bit better, you could do something like this as well. We could take, actually, let me just take this. We'll duplicate it. We'll right click and send it back. And we'll, wait, we don't want to go back to just above there. There we go. And we can wrap it around a container of sorts. And let's give it a different shade. So we could go darker possibly. Yeah, I kind of like going darker. Now, of course, the white space is all screwed up, so let's fix that. Let's take all this stuff, move it over here so that the container begins right there. And then we will put this up here, push this right around here, and there we go. All right, so here's our before and after. Honestly, this could be worked on a little bit better, but I'm not gonna worry about it too much. I'm just kind of focused on this area here. So that we have this from this. So I think we could all agree that this over here is quite a bit better, works a lot better. Actually, this may not pass the contrast guideline, so you might want to bump that up. There we go. So yeah, going from this to this, I think it's a lot better. All right. Next up is that one, I think. I think I've seen this. Yeah, I did you last time. Maybe you did improve it, but I can't remember. But just in the interest of trying to get some new people in here, I'm going to have to skip yours. I'm sorry. Well, it's snazzy. We got some 3JS happening back here. Let's refresh this. So that's kind of weird because at first there's like this interface, but then it hides real quickly, so it's jarring. It's like, what is that? Like it disappeared. I want to see what the hell that was. And so when you open up with this crazy animation, it's hiding stuff. Like it's just too jarring in my opinion. So I wouldn't do that. Now, assuming it just started out like this, I still have an issue with this container sitting around it. You don't need this container, and I'm not really sure if I can get rid of it based on how things are structured here. We got a backdrop filter. Yeah, I'm not sure how I can get rid of like any background, like the color. Wait, is that it? Yeah. There's a lot of stuff happening with this thing. Okay, so I see why you did it, because this right here, this little earth thing, does, you know, it has high contrast elements in it. What I would like you to see, I think would make more sense is if you took this 3JS element, or I'm assuming it's 3JS, it's something like that, and then just squash the brights from it. So you could still have it in the background, but make it more of a watermark, and then that way, this right here will be higher contrast, because right now it's like hard to read your name, but the mid-gray background that you had just didn't look good at all. So I would also get rid of this high contrast border in the middle between these elements, and then just push these two things away from each other a little bit more. All right, and then like this section here, there's a big issue. It's my belief that it's pretty much impossible to use a mid-gray, and this is a mid-gray right here, in the context of a UI design and just make it look decent at all. Like I always say, you either go real light or you go real dark, and you can't go wrong with either way. So you should definitely think about that. These dividers here are 100% unnecessary. They just add unnecessary clutter. You could use them if you didn't use a background with your cards right here. But the background with the cards, being that you already have a background on the cards, you've already established that these are three different things. Therefore, this here, these dividers, these gradient-based dividers are unnecessary. Also, more white space on the top and bottom of this container. All right, hopefully that was helpful. Next up. No animation. Okay. All right. So we have a major issue with visual hierarchy. It just says about me really big, and then down here we have like this tiny afterthought. It's like, hey, I'm blah blah blah. I design and develop software. No. Also, your picture here, this vector, we only need to see one of you, so get rid of this one. Figure out something else that could go over here. Additionally, notice with this section that you have here, you have all this space vertically, all this stuff. But then at the top, the content's just shoved up there. To create more of a balance in your design, take this container, use the grid, CSS grid or whatever, and then just center it vertically. And also, there's not much here, so center it here horizontally as well. And it'll just fill out the design much, much better. Also, your About Me projects, these little arrows right here, they're not little, they're too large. I would make those quite a bit smaller just because they demand too much attention. So I would also think about that. Got a light and dark mode. All right, next up. Critique my portfolio. Alrighty. Cabbage. The pre-launch is September 14th. So you'll be able to join at a discounted price for accessing about half of the course is completed so far. And then within a few months after that, it will be completed. All right. Yep, I am live. JVS is pretty much single-handedly responsible for ensuring that DesignCourse.com is ready in 10 days. And so, yeah, I hope it happens. All right. Yeah, how's that going, by the way? You said you were interested in trying to get it ready by tomorrow, so. All right, again, too much white space here. All over, big white space. Also not a fan of the alignment. We can see this is all centered aligned over here, but in it, we've established kind of like a column right there at the left of home, but then this is kind of like offset over here. It's not too much offset. So in CSS, you have the ability to use media queries, and therefore you can say anything underneath or under or over X pixels, then we can make things really large. So at a larger viewport resolution like this, look at all this space. Like you can really just scale things up a lot more and fill up your design. So like for a smartphone, like this might be okay, although it's still kind of centralized in the middle. I'd like to see things separated out more so you can utilize this space more. But out here, it's just way too much, way too much. And this feels like it was just made only for mobile, just because we have like a single column here in the middle and not the rest of the space is being utilized. That is a floating label at least, so I will give you props to that. At least when this is focused, it floats up here and says name, so that's a good thing. All right. Alrighty, let's see. Hey, as long as it's ready by the 14th, I'll be happy. All right. So a big problem I see with this one, home region about. Yeah, we got some issues with alignment in white space, and also contrast, like just the overall quality. Like this hamburger with like a darker gray behind it does not work well at all. It doesn't contrast well with this blue. Get rid of that background for this hamburger menu. Also scale down the size of the hamburger too. It's quite a bit big in relation to the rest of the type right here. Also, home region about, move those in a little bit closer. There's too much white space between them. And then finally Sahara, where this starts. See, we see a clearly defined column right here. Well, that's where home should start as well, so that everything kind of starts on that same column. Also, your little cards here, especially this one, it doesn't really contrast well with this background because it's the same, it's a desert. They're both deserts. So you need to figure out a way in which you can increase that contrast. And there's a lot of different ways that you can go about that. Mainly, I would probably just change this photograph here for the desert into something that's higher contrast and lighter colors, so that being that it's sitting on this area, which can be dark, is a little bit darker, it'll contrast more. So think about that. And also this text shadow, this gray, no, completely get rid of that. Don't have any type of shadow behind it. It simplifies it much more. This right here kind of just makes it look cheap. Next up. Yeah, padding on the cards as well. Alrighty, wow, this is some character here. For a second, I thought like this was an attempt at like communism, like with the whole red and black, and then I thought this was the hammer and sickle thing up here, like the communist. I was like, all right. All right, so I don't like that leading. I think we can definitely decrease that leading quite a bit, like line height. That's not working. It looks like this might be structured in some strange way. Line height is not working. Why would line height not be working? Damn it. Am I forgetting my CSS properties? I don't know. But either way, this should be squashed in. Less white space between the lines of text. Right here, also, we have some weird tracking occurring or letter spacing. I think it just, that makes it a little bit hard to read. Just bring that sucker in. Just put the default for this type. Work, that's a pretty decent call to action. Let's come down. All right, so right here, this is discombobulated. It's just, this right here is just randomly placed, it feels like. And then over here, we have the actual type. Like, really, it would make sense to take this type, make it start right here underneath on a column, and that way it's very easy to go from reading this type, this headline, to reading this. This is just unnecessarily just placed over here in a way that doesn't make sense. So put that there, and then maybe put a graphic or an illustration of some sort over to the right. All right, we'll review another one. Let's continue on. All right, so I'm not sure what's happening. I think I just did that one. All right, there we go. Alrighty. So this background graphic, it looks like it was shot like on a 1998 digital camera or something. Like and then just like completely, I don't know what's happening here, but my eyeballs, they don't like it. And it looks like this text is a part of it. So there's way too much wrong occurring in this little section right here for me to be like, yeah, unreal. Definitely want to use actual HTML type, and you don't want to bake in your type in the images. That's something we used to do like back in the late 90s. You don't want to do that. This section up here, you know, the coloring and all that stuff is pretty decent, but then this comes up and it's like, oh, what is happening? And then this down here, we have some issues like gray on purple. That's a huge no. This right here, this is what these out of stock, like this color right here is what out of stock should be, like this gray color. That works much better. You don't need to wrap the low contrast border in here, although it's not terrible because it's low contrast, but yeah, that's what I would fix about that design primarily. And that was completely not a rickroll. All right, next up. Ooh, snazzy, look at this. Let's refresh that and look at the intro. Loading. Pretty nice. Yeah, I like this. Now, I don't like that. So I liked everything here, but then it just repeats kind of into something very similar. I feel like these sections need to have a lot of contrast, and then maybe you can reuse this in a later section down in the design. But yeah, it's pretty cool for the most part. I like to see this like with a white background, like going from crazy to like just a very light or white background, maybe with a very subtle like grayscale, very light sort of textured background or something like that. But yeah, for the most part, quite solid. Got a bunch of kids looking at me. The logo just completely gets lost. So want to think about that. Probably a use case for having like a bar across the top that's white, and then that way we could see the logo. This is all kind of improperly aligned. I would push this over to the left.
and try to honestly, I would restructure this completely. Just because it's just cattywampus. I'm using really stupid words today, but I think it definitely could be improved, and just in terms of a different layout. Combine these into their own sections. Like this would be one section, and then this would be another section, but styled differently. All right. This one's not loading. I'll give you 3 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Sorry, you're using one of these weird web hosts that are slow, I think. Refresh. I really like the background photograph being dark and grayscale. I really like this font, and I really like this color and the secondary font. So what are these fonts here? Play Fair Display, I very much like that one. And then this is Play Fair Display as well. But it works well, it's italic and it's not bold. So there's good visual contrast. So Mondello, explore the real taste of Italy. All right. Yeah, this is nice. I really like this layout. It's very modern. I like it. Yep, all solid. Don't have anything negative to say, really. I think it would make a little bit more sense to have some sort of maybe an animated scroll indicator right here. That we have a little bit of a, more of a direction rather than just a little line down there. But outside of that, this is pretty solid. Yeah, pretty good. All right, next up. How long have I been going? Let me check. I hate when Windows does that. How do I get everything back? Hello? I thought I could just shake shit and it would come fucking back, but it's not. Now I have to get all my damn windows going back here. Unreal. Fucking stupid Windows. All right. Now I need to answer my question I had. How long have I been going? 47 minutes. Wow. Okay. All right. This right here, again, one of those issues. Like, we have a left column and a right column, and then we have all this space down here. You just use the CSS grid, center these things vertically so that there's equal amount of white space from up here and down here. Work that type. It doesn't contrast enough with your vibrant background color, so make it bold. Probably make it black. This is a little strange. Check out GitHub and blog, and then because it's weird because you have extra white space at the top, even though it's a part of this description right here. So it's just a little bit inconsistent. I probably want to do this. Just make those regular links so it looks like a normal, flow here. This part, this has potential. I like this area. It's decent white space. I like the very subtle line separators between them. But I feel like this one especially is just like there's a lot of stuff happening here. I feel like it could be simplified. All right. We are going to do one more, and then I am going to conclude. Current website. Well, okay, let's just look at the Figma. All right, Anonymous, get your cursor out of here. All right, so one thing I don't like, this line separator, I don't like that. I would get rid of that. It's just high. It's pretty high contrast. I understand what's happening though. You want to separate this right here, this whole nav, from this section, and you can do that. But I would probably just put a whole like a rectangle around this whole thing right here,
and just make it maybe a really light blue. The same hue as this, but make it really light, almost white. And then that way you can create a separation between these two elements. Next up, let's see here. I would center this. If you're gonna have it be this tall, actually I wouldn't even make it that tall. Just take this and make the image end like right under here, underneath apply now. Like all the way across, like cut off like this much. Cards look pretty decent. Might want to increase the padding or the inner white space a little, like maybe about twice amount of what it currently is. But this, I like the tags. I like the headline, the title, and I like this. So that's all done well. That's done well as well. The avatar and the name and all that stuff. Pretty solid. Awesome. All right. Somebody said, WTF, mine didn't get reviewed. Well, what is your username on here? Actually, I got to do Toxic because he helped me with the little icon reacts. All right, so I think we need to increase the visual hierarchy between these two elements, either by making this bold and larger, or I think what we could do is take this type and make the font size. You're using pixels. I want to do that. We'll do like what's 1M, a little bit larger. So maybe like 1.35 rem units. That's better. Make this, if we can, font weight bold. There we go. So in my opinion, this is much better. If I refresh it, you'll see the original. It's much better than what's occurring here. Or like you said, like I said, you can make this bold as well, maybe slightly larger, and still keep the same size. You just need to increase the distinction between the two a lot more. The rest of this, these are pretty decent here. I feel like they're really quite squished, and you have like how many per row? Like 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 8. Maybe make it just 6 per row, and that way you can make it a little bit larger, and that way this text doesn't feel like it's so cramped in inside. That way you'll get more white space ability. Yep, awesome. All right. Alrighty. Explore users. Okay, where's yours? Are you saying I skipped yours by accident? Oh my God, and you spammed though. Yeah, and you didn't submit it until 11:47, so I'm sorry. You're all the way down here somewhere. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't able to get to anybody down here, just because I never do. I'm not able to get through everybody. So if you want to be reviewed next time, you make sure you hang out in the Discord server, and then you'll notice in the news section, I announced these things usually an hour before, but today I announced it 4 hours before, and also on Twitter. And then just try to be fast, because I can't get to everybody. I have a limited amount of time. So I will see you all soon. And just remember, if you haven't yet, put your email in here at DesignCourse.com. There's probably around 15,000 people who've entered their email over the last year to be notified when we launch. And the pre-launch is occurring, like I mentioned at the beginning of this stream, in 10 days on September 14th. We'll be able to access the course as it stands. It's about halfway completed. And yeah, a few months after that, it should be finished though. Very exciting stuff. More videos to come, and I will see you all very soon. Goodbye. Awkward silence as I get out my freaking YouTube studio and hit end stream.